campaign.
Yeah. I voted for Biden last time.
That's fantastic.
Is it? Everything costs more. Food, gas, rent.
Okay, but Biden's helping pay rent for newcomers to America from around the world.
You mean illegal immigrants?
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Ferris, 23-year-old conservative activist, host of Speechless, not only the radio show, but also right here on YouTube. And that's where I bring you guys these live streams and every other content piece that I do. And it's not only on YouTube, I'm on Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, all that stuff. Also affiliated with Breakaway USA, the phenomenal podcasting and content organization. So make sure you go check all of our stuff out. Don't forget to like this video. The thumbs up or the heart, it's right down there. Comment what you think. Get those comments rolling. I'll bring them up on screen. We can talk about everything under the sun that I'm bringing up on the show today. Share this video with your friends. Reshare it if you're on Twitter. And again, make sure you guys comment as we get into everything. But we're going to start off with that first story there. You guys saw that opening video. An advertisement that's absolutely beautiful for Donald Trump. I got to be honest, probably one of the best advertisements I've ever seen for Donald Trump. And we just looked at a bit of a snippet there. And it's not even just for Donald Trump. It's also an anti-Biden ad. But there's something very interesting about this. According to the Daily Wire, Google banned this advertisement. Yes, Google banned this advertisement. It was apparently, according to Andrew Arrange, director of the Penn Program on Opinion Research and Election Studies and a member of NBC News, Election Unit said on X that Google removed the ad, saying, quote, this ad had been removed by Google for a policy violation. It was live in the Google archive this morning, and then he had just looked at it the other day, and it's now been removed. Super PAC spent over $15,000 targeting it at specific communities near Macon, Georgia, after launching it on April 25th. Now, let's take a look and listen to this entire ad one more time, and we'll kind of break it down a little bit, and then we'll break down a little bit more why Google removed it. Here's this.
Hello, I'm with the Biden campaign.
Yeah. I voted for Biden last time.
That's fantastic.
Is it? Everything costs more. Food, gas, rent.
Okay, but Biden's helping pay rent for newcomers to
Okay, here's an interesting point to discuss here is the fact that if you look at this right here, she's scripted on everything. She's scripted on everything. Who else do you know is scripted on everything? Who says pause when they're not even supposed to? It's just a cue. Interesting little kind of quip there.
America from around the world.
You mean illegal immigrants? I'm struggling to pay my bills, but Biden's paying rent for illegals. They get handouts and I'm paying for it.
But Biden can still count on your vote, right?
Things were better before Biden. I'm voting for Trump.
Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So that was obviously targeted significantly towards African Americans, Hispanics, and young voters who are abandoning Biden. People that Trump traditionally doesn't do very well with, but if you look at most recent polling, has actually been doing much better. In fact, Biden has been losing with blacks, Hispanics, and young voters. Right now, those between the age demographic of 18 and 34 are polling higher for Trump, +5 for Trump, as they went +24 in the last election for Biden. Biden's lost significant ground over double digits in both black and Hispanics. This ad would greatly help Trump in showing many of those voters exactly what Biden has done really to them, in that he hasn't done anything for them. Now, if you look at, according to the Daily Wire, not only was this removed, actually Google ended up reversing the decision to ban their Trump ad targeting Biden on inflation, illegal immigration, etc. Now, why did this happen in the first place, and why is it now why is it reversed? And these are the two biggest questions we need to answer. Google reportedly removed an ad from former President Donald Trump's presidential campaign this week that targeted Joe Biden. The ad reportedly sought to reach black voters with whom Biden is struggling in recent polling in rural Georgia. And as we saw everything the ad actually has to offer, and shows exactly why no one should actually consider Biden a real candidate at this point. He has proven to be absolutely disgusting in every single way for for America. But if we look at further on, Google appears to have completely reversed their decision. The Make America Great Again Inc. ads are no longer flagged for a policy violation in the Google archive. Why is this? Why is it that all of a sudden, after it becomes public that this was removed, why is it now that Google will reinstate this advertisement? We can see this is the ad back up. You can see that it was removed for a policy violation briefly, and then it's back. There's no issues anymore. Why? Why is it that Google would remove this ad in the first place and then put it back up? Now, I'm sure many of you out there can already understand and comprehend exactly what's going on. The reason why this ad was removed is because it was too true, because it worked too well. Many people will go on about the last election and say that the issue was voter fraud or something like that the election was stolen by that means. And now, the election was undeniably stolen, but not by rampant voter fraud. And they might even kick me off of YouTube for saying that. But it was because the Democrat establishment and the Uniparty have so many hands in different pockets and many hands in their own pockets for media. If you turn on the mainstream media, constantly attacks Donald Trump. If you go onto a lot of your social media, constantly attacks Donald Trump. Now, yes, there are conservative content creators like myself, but we're constantly facing shadow bans or content violations, just as this one that this advertisement received for Trump. Because our media seeks to sway your opinion. Our media seeks to cause division. Our media seeks to not allow those who are willing to expose the Uniparty, to take that money out of their pockets and give it back to you, the American people. Those are who the media seeks to silence. And so when Donald Trump actually comes out with an ad that exposes absolute truth and goes against Joe Biden and would likely work in Donald Trump's favor, they're going to flag it, they're going to ban it, and they're not going to let you see it. Because they don't want Donald Trump to be president. And that's it. But we're going to talk about a lot more than just that advertisement here on Speechless today. AI girlfriends. Huge deal. We also got Mark Hamill going to the White House. Another way. That's what Biden needs, right? Right? Biden heard that he was losing track with young people, black people, and Hispanics. And he said, what if we got that one dude who was in that OK movie back like 50 years ago? Maybe we get him. And that'll win everybody back, right? That, Tim Scott, and a lot of other VP pick possibilities join Trump at Mar-a-Lago. We're going to cover that. And I'll take a political compass test later in this show. All that and so much more coming up in Speechless. But let me know what you guys think about that advertisement in the comments section. You guys can blast that comment section up. I'm curious what you guys think. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Comment what you think. Share it with your friends. All that fun stuff. Why do you think Google removed that ad of President Trump? Why? I'm curious your guys' thoughts. Let's get to it. But we're about to get into this next story here. Very interesting story that's multifaceted and one I've been prepping all day for. But I wanted to start off with that Google one because I found it really interesting. But up next, we're going to talk about pornography in 2024. The history of it a bit. Its damages, how it's targeting each and every one of us, and its destruction. A lot of things to talk about with it. A very deep, deep conversation we're about to have about the state of pornography, and I just need to get everything pulled up. This is what happens when I produce my own show, is I have a lot of things to pull up, a lot of things I want to make sure are good, but everybody make sure you don't miss a minute. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. Please, please, please do all of that. But we're going to start off with this. In the last week, if you follow me everywhere, which I think many of you should, because I post a lot of fun and interesting things, and I also get people to block me on Twitter because I tell them the truth. I have been spending a lot of time on Twitter. You might have noticed that. It's truly the closest thing to a free speech platform. I can really say what I want. Very interesting news coming out of it, like Nick Fuentes was recently brought back on. That might be a topic for tomorrow night on the Breakaway USA show. But I spent a lot of time on Twitter. And in my time scrolling and looking through the different content that's offered, I get advertisements, as I'm sure many of you do. On whatever platform you're on, you get advertisements on Netflix, Hulu, Instagram, Facebook, anything like that. But my advertisement, and oftentimes you guys get probably very targeted advertisement, things that maybe, oh my gosh, you even were talking about it with a friend recently, and then it comes up, right? Or you searched it on a different app, and then this comes up. Well, here's the thing. You guys might think I'm crazy, and I will prove to you by the end of this that I'm not. But I am getting, after not looking for anything salacious or inappropriate for quite a while on my devices, I get a lot of not suitable for work content, or at least things that are being advertised for such, in my advertisement feed. So here's an example of it. And no, this will be suitable for work. I'm going to ensure that everything that I show you is YouTube friendly, is Twitter friendly, everything like that. But I want to show you guys a little bit about what actually happened, or what I actually receive. And then I'm going to show you that it's not just me, and that if you get this too, you're not alone. So first, take a look at this advertisement. This is one that I got from Twitter, on Twitter. As I'm scrolling, this is OnlyFans, which a lot of us know what OnlyFans is. It is basically like YouTube for pornographers. Instead of going to be a stripper, now you can strip and be a degenerate from the comfort of your own home. But now I get ready to connect with new content creators. The time to join OnlyFans is now. Sign up for free today. And I get advertisements like this. Take a look and a listen.
I love OnlyFans.
I love OnlyFans. I love OnlyFans because it's given me my power back to invest in me and believe in me again.
And I just like that I can embrace the side of me that's more authentic and that's real to me.
It gives me the creative freedom to express who I am and be myself. And I love the community that it brings.
The most fun part is being able to express myself on there.
That's her voice, and the way she speaks is just probably it sounds like the dumbest person I've ever heard in my entire life.
Honestly, like, my insecurities are gone. Everybody loves me on there.
I know it. I love it now and for many years to come.
So I get advertisements like this, right? And this one seems relatively tame. Oh, Kev, what are you talking about? Well, the point is what is this supposed to get you to go and look at? Pornography. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the actual statistics behind. And this is all going to make sense. Everything that I'm talking about is going to make sense. It's all going to come together, I promise you. But when we actually look at the statistics of it, pornography is actually quite an epidemic, one of which that no one wants to talk about, and everybody seems to pretend is just like a tongue-in-cheek action. Oh man, it's just always been around. It's always been a thing. But in reality, if you think about it nowadays, pornography is so easy to come by nowadays that it happens in my advertising feed. It happens without even seeking it out. 40 years ago, you used to have to go to a store and buy a Playboy, or comb through a National Geographic to try to see some African tribal woman with a bare chest, or sneak into your dad's box that you knew he hid somewhere. Nowadays, it is literally on every TV, on every device that every person carries around in their pocket. This salacious material, seductive material, marriage-ruining material. And I'm not being hyperbolic. It truly happens. That is meant only for those 18 and up, is at the palm of the hands of 12-year-olds. And that might sound extreme. You might be saying, oh, well, Kevin, you're taking it too far. But listen to some of these things. Common Sense Media Reports found that 73% of teens, 73% of teens aged 13 to 17 have watched pornography online. And more than half, 54%, reported first seeing pornography by the time they reached the age of 13. So that means before you're even a teenager, half of Americans have witnessed in some way pornography. Nearly half, 44%, indicated that they had done so intentionally. So nearly half, not half of them, half of those who responded to this in the United States had done so intentionally, while slightly more than half, 58%, indicated that they had encountered pornography accidentally. Now, some of those, maybe it's just like, oh, no, I wasn't looking for it. It was just an accident, but still, accidentally. And I don't doubt it. In my advertising feed, there are scenes of OnlyFans. There are more, too, and we're going to talk about some of the others. I get Adam and Eve. I get for sexual toys in my advertising feed. Now, I also want to talk about the idea that porn is not actually even considered an addiction. You can't be addicted to porn. Now, any smart person with half a brain cell realizes that you can. And I'm going to explain to you how you can, just in case anybody out there thinks you can't. But according to the American Psychiatric Association, you can't be addicted to porn. There is no classification under the American Psychiatric Association that says you can be addicted to porn. In fact, almost everything else you can be addicted to. Everything else you can be addicted to in this world. Gambling, obviously, of course, drugs. Everything you can be addicted to. But according to the American Psychiatric Association, porn is not a technical addiction. But the thing is that it is addictive. Anything that triggers a dopamine release in your brain can technically be addictive. And porn is one that, it's not the same level of a dopamine release as eating a certain food necessarily. It is one that can drastically change your brain chemistry and lead to further mental illnesses. In fact, some common signs, just in case you're wondering, of porn addiction can include ignoring daily responsibilities to watch pornography, feeling ashamed after watching porn but continuing to do it, sex life becoming less satisfying, porn use causing problems in your relationship and intimacy, starting to view more extreme pornography, such as roofying, drug-related porn, something aggressive, spending a significant amount of money on pornography, utilizing sites like OnlyFans, using pornography as a coping mechanism for sadness, anxiety, or other difficult feelings or mental health issues. It is clear to anybody that pornography is addictive. In fact, there's even listings online of withdrawal symptoms from trying to stop using pornography. There are people in which they get erectile dysfunction because of their pornography use. There are marriages, like I said earlier, marriages ruined. People I know who are divorced because of pornography use. It is clearly an addiction, but why is it not classified as one? The reason porn is not being classified as an addiction, they don't want you to hear this, everybody. The reason porn is not classified as an addiction is because it's the drug they can keep you on. What do I mean by this? It's the drug they can keep you on. Every other psychiatric addiction or thing that you're getting treatment for, whether that's depression, anxiety, gender dysphoria, they can give you a drug and make it all go away. Big Pharma seeks to gain from diagnosing you with just about anything. ADD, depression, anxiety, being a fentanyl addict. Because if you're a fentanyl addict, you're probably getting it illegally. But we'd rather you get our drug to keep you off fentanyl, to keep you from withdrawal. Just about everything. There's a drug for that. If you're currently doing drugs, we'll get you off drugs by doing these drugs. If you're not feeling good because you stopped using drugs, take these drugs. It'll make you happier. Drugs, 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 drugs. Keep you as full of them as possible. But the porn industry is another mega giant. The porn industry generates more income than the combined revenues of ABC, NBC, and CBS, and more than the combined revenues of the NFL, NBA, and MLB. So the National Football League, the National Basketball Association, and the Major League Baseball, you combined their annual revenue Porn makes more. In the United States, the porn industry generates between $15 billion and $97 billion a year. Every single second, $3,075.64 is being spent on pornography. Every single second, over $3,000 spent on pornography. No one is safe. You want to talk about a zombie apocalypse. You want to talk about everybody becoming infected with something. You want to talk about idiocracy, numbing people's brains, lowering birth rates, destroying relationships, destroying mental health, destroying men. You want to talk about a crisis of masculinity. Where is it stemming from? Significantly, it is the epidemic that no one's talking about. Pornography. No one is safe either. I'm not sitting up on my pedestal acting like I've never suffered from this. 99% of men, some studies estimate that 99% of men utilize pornography on a weekly basis. A recent survey even found that 50% of Christian men and 20% of Christian women are, quote, self-proclaimed addicted to porn. No one is sinless. Even so far as to say that about 40% of average porn users believe that there's nothing wrong with their constant usage. 63% of those who said that they have only seen pornography accidentally reported that they had been exposed to pornography in the past week. It happens all the time. And it's not just the instance of OnlyFans that I brought up. I also get instances such as this. Chat with the best AI girls. This one is a little bit more salacious, but I get things like this. Take a look and a listen. NSFW, meaning not suitable for work, available. Try the most intense AI girlfriend chat. This is meant to be seductive. This is meant to draw your eye in. This is meant to push in your brain this idea of lustful intention, and it's absolutely degenerate. Elon Musk should seriously know about this because, like I said, it has been, look, I'm going to open up with everybody right now because I'm not the only one, and there's a lot more out there, and it's very, very distressing. I dealt with my own issue of pornographic addiction. I guarantee you, if you have a man in your life, he believes that at one point in his life, he had some level of a pornographic addiction. It's a scary thing to realize. There are men out there that never feel like they would ever be addicted to anything. Never take a sip of a drink, never had a cigarette, let alone anything worse. But they've been addicted to porn. And they've never told a single soul about it. They might currently be struggling with it. But they're so ashamed that they're not going to tell anybody about it because they feel alone. It is one of the most isolating feelings a man can possibly have. Not saying there aren't women out there as well, but the vast majority of regular porn users are men. Why do you think it is that a woman can go on to OnlyFans at any time and pretty much any woman too? You have women that are like 600 pounds that go on there and they make thousands of dollars. Like, I'm not excusing men from this. Like, men obviously are you at the end of the day have a control over what you do. But what I'm saying is that a lot of men need to be pulled out of this because we have a society that enables this. Why? Because it is profitable. Because it is profitable. They don't care about all that it ruins. And so they put it in advertisements like this. And again, like I said, a lot of times people believe that it's what you search up. It's what you search up. That's why your advertisements are getting this. But no. It's targeting young men. In fact, so much so that according to a recent Wired article, you could look right here. Wired, ads for AI girlfriends are swarming Facebook and Instagram. Facebook, and Instagram. Wired found thousands of ads running on Meta's social platforms promoting sexually explicit AI girlfriend apps. Some human sex workers say the platform unfairly polices their own posts more harshly. Meta's online ad library shows that the company is hosting thousands of ads for AI-generated NSFW companion or girlfriend apps on Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. They promote chatbots offering explicit images and text using NSFW chat samples and AI images of partially clothed, unbelievably shaped simulated women. Many of the virtual women seen in ads reviewed by Wired are lifelike, if somewhat uncanny, young, and stereotypically pornographic. Prospective customers are invited to role play with an AI stepmom, connect with a computer-generated teen in a hijab, or chat with avatars who promise to get you off in 1 minute. These are happening on your 13-year-old's Instagram. These are happening on your husband's Facebook. These are happening on my flippin' Twitter, and it's really pissing me off. Because as somebody who has attempted to be entirely free from this sin that is a pornography and has been wildly accepted by our society as if it's just average and normal for every young man to partake in utilizing this. This is happening, like, whether you like it or not. You cannot avoid it. This is unavoidable. And then, obviously, it's funny because then this goes into, as a sex worker, if I put anything like, I will do anything for you, I will make you come in a minute, I would be deleted in an instant, says Gemma Rose, director of the pole dance stripper movement, a UK-based sex workers right in pole dance. Yeah, no, you're also a degenerate, Gemma Rose, but I'm sorry that they're hypocritical of you and the AI has more rights than you do, apparently. Meta's policies forbid users from showing nudity or sexual activity and selling sex, including sexting. Rose and other sex workers advocates say the company seems to apply a double standard in permitting chatbots. See, that's not the issue here. The problem is that this is absolutely impossible to avoid as a young person, period, but especially young men. This shows up in your TikTok feed. This shows up everywhere you look. There is something that is attempting to push you towards a sin of lust and drive you further away from any feeling of love, because once again, pornography has such a destructive effect on the psyche and ability to have real relationships. But it's getting even worse. As if you're watching this right now, like some that say it's so sad. It absolutely is. And to not make you more hopeless when it comes to this, but it's getting even worse because it's no longer, as I just mentioned, in the advertisements that I'm receiving and that others are receiving, is that people are now taking part in these AI chatbots for romantic companionship, period, but also romantic companionship. According to the Associated Press, artificial intelligence, real emotion. People are seeking a romantic connection with the perfect bot. This is a real thing. You can take a look here. They have AI chatbots that are becoming significant others. A few months ago, Derek Carrier started seeing someone and became infatuated. He experienced a ton of romantic feelings, but he also knew it was an illusion. That's because his girlfriend was generated by artificial intelligence. Carrier wasn't looking to develop a relationship with something that wasn't real, nor did he want to become the brunt of online jokes. But he did want a romantic partner he'd never had, in part because of a genetic disorder called Marfan syndrome that makes traditional dating tough for him. The 39-year-old from Bellevue, Michigan became more curious about digital companions last fall and tested Peridot, an AI companion app that had recently come onto the market and advertised its products as being able to make users feel cared and understood and loved. He began talking to the chatbot every day, which he named Joy after a holographic woman featured in the sci-fi film Blade Runner 2049 that inspired him to give it a try. I know she's a program, there's no mistaking that, but the feelings, they get you, and it felt so good. And it felt so good. How is this any different than pornography? You're taking part in a level of, and obviously an emotional experience, the feelings, they felt so good, that is with somebody, something that mimics a real life experience. How is this any different than pornography? And it gets even further. Similar to general purpose AI chatbots, companion bots use vast amounts of training data to mimic human language, but they also come with features such as voice calls, picture exchanges, and more emotional exchanges that allow them to form deeper connections with the humans on the other side of the screen. Users typically create their own avatar or pick one that appeals to them. On online messaging forums devoted to such apps, many users say they've developed emotional attachments to these bots and are using them to cope with loneliness, play out sexual fantasies, or receive a type of comfort and support they see lacking in their real life relationships. Fueling much of this widespread social isolation already declared a public health threat in the US and abroad, and an increasing number of startups aiming to draw in users through tantalizing online advertisements and promises of virtual characters who provide unconditional acceptance. Luca Inc.'s Replica, the most prominent generative AI companion app, was released in 2017, while others like Peridot have popped up in the past year, oftentimes locking away coveted features like unlimited chats for paying subscribers. But researchers have raised concerns about data privacy, among other things, and we're going to get into those. But I want to point out something when we look up here. We have isolation, social isolation, which is already declared a public health threat in the US and abroad. It was mentioned earlier that Derek, who apparently has some level of a condition that makes traditional dating difficult for him. So you have that. But so for him, it could be helpful. For him, it could be helpful. That's what they're trying to say. For somebody who cannot traditionally date or has difficulty in traditional dating. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have it so that nobody can traditionally date. Why? Because they take part constantly in the digital world that is all fake. No one is going to be able to traditionally date anymore. And if you can go online and have all your perceived needs fulfilled by some bot that can help you cope with loneliness, play out sexual fantasies, or receive the type of comfort and support they see lacking in real life relationships. Here's what I see right here is pornography is causing loneliness. It's not the only cause of loneliness, not at all, but pornography to an extent is causing loneliness and a divide. And so the way that people see that we solve that, some people see the way that we solve that is by doubling down and saying, hey, let's create something that's not only pornographic for the sexual thrill, but can also satisfy the emotional thrill. So then you really don't need a partner at all. What this plays into is this theme that I constantly talk about: depopulation. Everything the left does and the left praises is about depopulation, abortion, obviously, climate change, don't have kids, too much carbon. Transition your children, cut their genitals off, sterilize them. Depopulation. Everything comes back down. Don't even have the World Economic Forum. This is a digression, but I don't know if you guys saw it. The World Economic Forum said, if you have a coffee, it's too much CO2 in the air. You're going to kill the planet. Can't even have a coffee anymore. It's all about depopulating the earth. Homosexuality as well. And so instead of actually trying to solve isolation and saying, hey, let's confront your fear, let's bring you around people, let's solve your social anxiety, let's get you off porn, let's stop with these addictions, let's get you fit and healthy, looking in the mirror, liking what you see, talking with somebody, finding yourself a real girlfriend that you can make mistakes with, have problems with, solve them, and love, feel, touch, hold, and even text, whatever. Instead of all that, instead of living a human life, they want you to live your entire life on here, talking to somebody that exists in there. And not even in there in an omnipotent form. He's not your AI chat girlfriend is not God. But when I say exists in there, it doesn't exist. You're dating a bunch of ones and zeros. And not in the way that you could be dating a 10 like I am. No. You're dating binary code, and it's disgusting. You look further into this, an analysis of 11 romantic chatbot apps released Wednesday, when this article is from like 2 months ago, by the nonprofit Mozilla Foundation, said almost every app sells user data, shares it for things like targeted advertising, or doesn't provide adequate information about their privacy policy. The researchers also called into question potential security vulnerabilities and marketing practices, including one app that says it can help users with their mental health, but distances itself from those claims in fine print. Replica, for its part, says its data collection practices follow industry standards. Meanwhile, other experts have expressed concerns about what they see as a lack of legal or ethical framework for apps that encourage deep bonds, but are being driven by companies through looking to make profits. They point to the emotional distress they've seen from users when companies make changes to their apps or suddenly shut them down, as one app, Soulmate AI, did in September. Seriously. So people become in emotional distress because their computer broke up with them. That's what's happening. If you're going to experience a breakup, do it in real life. Because I can only imagine how it feels when the thing that you love that isn't even real breaks up with you. Of course it'd be emotionally distressing. You've been living in a lie, living in a delusion. And now I can't blame some of these young people, and I'm willing to bet it's predominantly young men, for flocking to these ideas. Young women have not all been, and I'm overgeneralizing, I know, but young women are not necessarily all being the most female version of chivalrous, the most feminine, the most biblically accepting of potential wifehood. So no wonder there's a feeling of isolation, a lack of companionship. But really, this has got to be a wake-up call for people. Nobody's talking about these things. Look, yes, there's some discussion in these articles that you probably never read about AI dating simulators and how, but even these frame it as if, oh, well, there could be some potential issues, but it could be great for people that are lonely. Yes, but how would it be for the human race? That's my question. How would it be for the human race? The point of all this that I want to say is that, yes, there is a potential positive. Even I recognize that this could help fight isolation in the short term. But I think overall, in the long term, it'll create a vastly larger isolation. There's also privacy concerns, data, especially when you're in a relationship. My girlfriend knows more about me than pretty much anybody else on the face of this planet. Seriously. If you're sharing that kind of information on an AI digital chatbot, all it is fueling even further the data privacy concerns and the lack of any privacy that you have, because all of that's going to go right to the government anyway. Every sexual fantasy you've ever had, every kink, you want the government having that? Go date an AI chatbot. Go do that. Be a little degenerate. It's disgusting. And all you OnlyFans girls out there, I'm sure none of you are watching my show, and we're going to get to comments soon. Everybody comment what you think about this stuff. But all you OnlyFans girls out there that are like, oh my gosh, the cash is flowing in. I'm so happy. I'm getting everything. I'm getting all of it. You know what happened when I had that one article that I pulled up of Wired, where it's a young woman who was mad because she's not allowed to post her nudes onto Instagram, but these AI chatbot advertisers get to talk about their salacious activity. They have all that. What's going to happen is these AI chatbots are going to become less expensive, that all you OnlyFans entitled girls that are dwindling away your best years and by the time that you actually want to settle down, no one's going to want you because you're used up, you're washed up. Yeah, you better be putting your money into a savings account, because one of these days AI is going to get you out of all your business. You're not going to be able to make a dime. And so, just like Cardi B and WAP, you're not going to cook, You're not going to clean. And you're probably not going to get a ring because everybody's seen all of you and there is nothing of value left. And AI is going to take your job. AI is going to be the new illegal immigrant. They took our jobs. That's what's going to happen. And it's not just for the sex work, but the sex work is the biggest, the sex work. It's not real work, but you know what I mean? The AI is going to take that over. It's cheaper. It can do literally everything that a man's eye and ears and mind wants, except it is going to lead us into a further destroyed society. And it all starts with the fact that right now, there's an entire market of young men addicted to watching porn on Pornhub, OnlyFans, etc. That once they are introduced to a refined and well-tuned product of AI to fulfill their desire, those AI companies are going to be making bank. And we're going to go off the deep end as a society. And there's so much more to this topic, and it's something I'm going to have to keep covering because it is absolutely, it's probably, to me, it is the epidemic, it is the mental health crisis that no one is talking about because it is too taboo. It is sexually pushed and sexually charged, and so it makes it even harder for people to talk about. And the woke don't want to talk about it, and even the conservatives. Some conservatives talk about it. I will say some conservatives talk about this epidemic in a way. But it is not mainstream for even a lot of conservatives to talk about. And the reason is because the way that we see that kids are being groomed is all by the LGBTQ. And I talk about that too. But a lot of people see that the kids are being groomed by the LGBTQs, and they don't want to talk about how even straight young men and young women, but especially straight young men, are being groomed into sexually perverse behavior and a lifetime of loneliness, shame, and disappointment through pornographic addiction. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments. But I'm telling you, we need to get a handle on this. This is not good. And I might get radically shadow banned and stuff for saying porn and pornography as much as I did in all of this. But it's happening. But that's that. I'm going to get to some comments here in a moment. I need to take a quick breather, and so please listen to a word from one of my sponsors. Thank you. Freedom 2.0, they're pretty awesome. Don't watch porn, drink Freedom 2.0. That's what you should do. I guess that's one way to put it, but no, Freedom 2.0 is pretty awesome. Go to freedom20.com, use code USA at checkout or breakaway at checkout. Use code breakaway at checkout, get 15% off. But let's talk about some of the comments that I see coming in here. I see some great fans in here. I got Demon Goral, who's awesome. Porn makes my computer crash. Well, that's one reason to not watch it. Andrea, great to see you. Demon Goral is the best. Yes, it is degenerate. However, I wonder if it is just another tool to keep people isolated. It absolutely is. It's exactly kind of what I was talking about. When I was in college, a kid did a project in Porn Kills Love, and everyone made fun of him and made him cry. Well, that's really sad because he's actually right. Porn is so fake. Absolutely. Most young people can't even look you in the eyes. They don't want any true communications. True. It's emotional prostitution. It 100% is. And it's not only emotional. I mean, like it to some extent is regular prostitution. I would even argue that the AI chatbots that I discussed is an even further level of it's not the same as prostitution because it's not an individual or like a real life person selling themselves out. But it is definitely because it fulfills even further that emotional need of you can have that real conversation and you can have people date an AI chatbot and crap like that. It is a sense of a prostitution, especially if you're paying money through a subscription service for any of that. Most young people seem to be so not there. They're lacking feelings, manners, etc. Of course, not all, but I see a lot of that. They're the ones that I saw a Gucci ad with guys in dresses. Interesting. That's not what I get. Taking Demon Girl, who is there to a new level. Kevin, I'm sure you're one of a kind. We need more young people. Thank you very much. But it's not just me. We do need more people because if it was just me, it would be a radically boring and sad society. You can't make this crap. No, you can't. Most women in real life will not live up to that fake porn. We also women have bastardized men for decades. And now they're videoing men so women can rage on social media. Yeah, absolutely. Men are tired of being abused. They are. We have a crisis of relationship right now. We do. We have a crisis of relationship. And I've been talking about this for a while. I mean, it happens not only on just like the dating side of it. And this is why I think I might be starting a dating show with, or I'll be helping to start a dating show on Breakaway with Lindsey Graham, the Patriot Barbie. And I'm going to do this because we need to talk about getting men and women back together. Young men right now at like rates of 90+% are conservative. Young women at rates of like 80 to 85+% are liberal. That is not a good equation. I'm not a mathematician, nor did I majored in marketing and political science. I don't know math, but what I can tell you is that doesn't add up. If we want to maintain healthy relationships and a healthy dynamic between men and women in society. My daughter is married. I tried to tell her to vote. Anytime I talk about politics, she gets upset, like she's too busy and thinks I'm over the top. I just want her to understand what her son will. I'm sorry. That's very sad. But don't try to approach this as a political conversation. Try to talk to her. Don't be like, oh, let's talk politics. Be like, oh, like, let's just talk about like young men. And like, if she's okay, so she's married. Oh, like how started off with a conversation about her husband. Politics is not in and of itself a conversation. I mean, you can make something a directly political conversation, but politics and the issues we see, the majority of them in some way affect us. And so when you're conversing with others about them, have a conversation about them, not about politics, if that makes sense. I will say this, the younger guy I talk to at the gym, guys I talk to at the gym are always very respectful. That's good. That's good. A lot of young men are very respectful, but they've been, like you said, bastardized. And I mean, there's a certain air, especially on college campuses, in which all men are potential rapists. And like technically, that's not wrong, but you shouldn't go into every interaction with a man being like, "Oh my God, he's about to come at me." No, that's not. Most men are not. In fact, most men are usually, especially with how the way the world treats young men nowadays, is most men are overly cautious about ever being perceived as anything like that. Absolutely. And we have more we're going to talk about here today. But I wanted to get to comments. I like when you guys get the chat going and bringing that things up. And that's why I hope that maybe you guys follow the channel throughout the week too, because I do have other live streams that I do, some with Breakaway and other people. And if we get those chats going more and sharing these videos with other people, building out this community, that would be amazing. And I'd love to get your guys' questions and everything. We'd do a mailbag if we had more chats and stuff. So I'd love to see all that. Coming up soon, we're going to talk about Gretchen Whitmer being confronted, frat boys saving the country, quick hits, and I'll even take the political compass test. We're going to talk about all that. I'm going to get keep those chats coming, guys. Let me know what you think about anything that we've talked about so far today. But I'm going to get my next things pulled up here. Interesting things that are going on in this world. Just pulling it up now. This is what happens when I produce my own show. Of course, many of you know that if you've been constantly watching, but if you're new to the channel, no matter where you're watching from, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. And definitely follow me everywhere, especially right now. Go follow me. If you're not currently following me on Twitter, please go do so, because I am fire on Twitter and having a lot of fun being fire on Twitter. So we're going to start off Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen Whitmer, who we all know, or many of you guys might know, is that crazy liberal governor who there was like a rumored attempt to kidnap her during COVID because she was like basically a lockdown Nazi. Well, she got confronted by Hamas protesters at her daughter's graduation. So let's take a look and a listen to this video of Gretchen Whitmer getting confronted at her daughter's graduation by Hamas protesters. Here's this.
Genocide! How do you justify genocide? How do you justify genocide? How do you sleep at night?
Genocide. How do you justify
What are you doing about Palestinian children?
I appreciate.
What are you doing about Palestinian students at the U of M?
I appreciate your raising your voice. I'm here to have a graduation meal with my daughter.
How do you? What about all of the children that are in mass graves? What about them?
Justify genocide.
Yeah, are you doing anything about it? Are you going to genocide?
So I will start all of this off with saying I don't think that it's you should pretty much ever address a public official like that when they're at a very personal event like that. Like she's there to see her daughter graduate. And as much as I disagree with her, that's like the one time where I'd say don't do that. But at the same time, what I will also say is that she enables that behavior. It's not conservatives running up to her saying, why did you force that mask on me? Which still would have been better. Why did you force the vax on me? Which would have also been very justifiable protests to do to that governor. No, what's happening in this video is people that this governor has enabled. People in which this governor said we should defund the police. Black people are oppressed in this country. People of all colors are oppressed in this country. And so we need to save them. And we need to do something. And so while I'll say I think it is based on manners, not the right thing to yell at her in public, she no doubt deserves it. She no doubt deserves it. She has enabled this behavior. And this is what I've said about college campuses just as much, is that college campuses should, we should not be, to some extent. Now, I believe in law and order. I do believe in law and order, ultimately. And so our police, thank all of them for clearing the campuses that they did. But to some extent, let these colleges, let these governors, let these people deal with the mistakes that they had. And or not even just mistakes. Let them deal with the consequences of their actions. They should. I'm oftentimes told by people, and I think this won't be the only time that this comes up tonight. I'm pretty sure I have another story that I think this same thing about. Is that I'm oftentimes told, like, by lefties, your freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence. And they say that because I got assaulted by a professor, which is like legally a crime. And they're like, well, you deserved it because you were using your free speech. And that means that you have consequences for your actions. And I'm like, okay, well, apply that here then. Free, you have your freedom to be the public servant you were elected to be, even if you're not serving anybody but yourself. Then you're not free from consequences. That's what I'd say to that. But she's not the only one that's still getting crap about this. We also have the Columbia University president made a public statement. And so after like 2 weeks of her entire university being taken over by these insane people and George Soros funded protesters, she comes out and makes a statement. And so we're going to react to this, talk about this a little bit.
These past 2 weeks have been among the most difficult in Columbia's history. The turmoil,
You don't
and
say.
tension, division, and disruption
Idiot.
have impacted the entire community. You, our students, have paid an especially high price. You lost your final days in the classroom and residence halls.
I love how these are the things that she's calling the high price. Not even just the tuition. The tuition isn't the high price that they're talking about. It's all the other stuff too.
For those of you who are seniors, you're finishing college the way you started, online. No matter where you stand on any issue, Columbia should be a community that feels welcoming and safe for everyone. We tried very hard to resolve the issue of the encampment through dialogue. Many people who gathered there were largely peaceful and cared deeply about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Academic
I was muted. Sorry. Even she is repeating the mostly peaceful protest idea. Hilarious. All liberals are the same.
leaders talked with students for 8 days and nights. The university made a sincere and good offer.
8 days was too long. You should have kicked him off the first day.
But it was not accepted. A group of protesters crossed a new line with the occupation of Hamilton Hall. It was a violent act that put our students at risk, as well as putting the protesters at risk. I walked through the building and saw the damage, which was distressing. But despite all that has happened, I have confidence. During the listening sessions I held with many students in recent months, I've been heartened by your intelligence, thoughtfulness, and kindness. The ones that impressed me the most were those who acknowledged that the other side had some valid points. We need more of that at Columbia. Every one of us has a role to play in bringing back the values of truth and civil discourse that
I think that's hilarious. I doubt, I'm willing to bet that she doesn't accept basic truths or even promote civil discourse, like at all. I guarantee you that if it was a conservative cause that did any of this, it would not be about civil discourse. It would be those evil racist Nazis. We need time to heal. If you need therapy from those evil racist Nazis. But the thing is that conservatives don't protest like that. That's how most of us know that January 6th was majorly a setup at best. Like it, because conservatives don't do that.
polarization has severely damaged. Here at Columbia, parallel realities and parallel conversations have walled us off from other perspectives. Working together, I know we can break down these barriers. As many of you know, I was born in the Middle East. I grew up in a Muslim family with many Jewish and Christian friends. I spent 2 decades working in international organizations with people from every nationality and religion in the world, where if you can't bridge divides and see the other side's point of view, you can't get anything done. I learned from that experience that people can disagree and still make progress. The issues that are challenging us, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, anti-Semitism, and anti-Arab and anti-Muslim bias, have existed for a long time. And Columbia, despite being a remarkable institution, cannot solve them single-handedly.
I would say one of the funniest things that's been said in this whole thing is that she called Columbia a remarkable institution. It's remarkable by definition, and the fact that it's remarkable how absolutely degenerate it is.
What we can do is be an exemplar of a better world where people who disagree do so civilly, recognize each other's humanity, and show empathy and compassion for one another. We have a lot to do, but I am committed to working at it every day and with each of you to rebuild community on our campus.
Dang it. The main reason I wanted to watch that, I hadn't watched the whole thing yet. I was really hoping that they just announced that Columbia University was shutting down, because that's really what should happen, is Columbia University should be shut down, because it basically is just full of a bunch of crap. Like, people that actually would put up with that, absolute crap. Ole Miss, though, University of Mississippi, deals with things a little bit differently. Funny thing is, so now, because they dealt with it differently, now you have a lot of liberals that are getting mad at kids at Ole Miss. So take a look and a listen. I've got multiple videos for this one. I think it's hilarious. So there's a lot of frat boys at multiple universities. And we talked about some on the Breakaway USA show about young frat boys who were holding up the American flag as Palestinian protesters were trying to take it down to replace it with the terrorism flag. And so, but then you had other ones where they just make fun of the protesters. And here's some of those videos. Here's one where they're offering a fat girl $100 to do a push-up and calling her Lizzo. It's hilarious. Watch this.
Be quiet, be quiet, be quiet.
$100 for a push-up. $100 for a push-up. There's even more though. And there's like this one where they say Lizzo getting a standing ovation from fans. Take a look and listen. This is also from Ole Miss, like the same crowd, same person, everything.
What's that?
Lock Her Up starts going crazy. But there is one young man that was featured in this video, I don't know if you noticed, that has now become the #1 enemy of these protests to the left. And let's take a look at the very beginning. We'll see him coming up on the side of the screen. Can you guys see my mouse on here? No, maybe you can. Let's, if I do this, I'm going to make sure you guys can see when I point things out. So I don't know if you guys, I don't think you guys can see my mouse, but I will make sure to point him out because he will be right here on my screen. He'll be like right there and he's going to come out and you guys are going to watch this. This is going to be crazy. So you can see my mouse. So this man right here, he's right there. He's coming up on my screen right there. This man right here is getting absolutely lambasted on social media. And so let's watch from beginning to end his appearance in this video. Oh my God, this young man made monkey noises towards a young black woman. A larger black woman who also did kind of look like Lizzo, I will admit. And now he is the worst person on the face of the planet. It's crazy. So much so as they went to dox him. And I'm not going to show it, but because of that, I learned his name. His name is JP. JP Staples. JP Staples, that's his name. And the left posted literally everything about him. His phone number, his email. I think maybe even his address, his parents' names, where his parents worked. And they posted it on Twitter. Because JP made the cardinal sin. No, not of actual racism. That's what they'll claim. That's what they'll tell you, is that he's a racist. And that's the issue, is that he's an ardent racist. And and that's the problem, is that he's a racist. And so because he did something that some would presume or see as being racially insensitive, now he is the worst person on the face of the planet. But it's not about racism whatsoever. In fact, this young man, once again, JP, if you want to see a better picture of him, a pretty normal looking kid. He's literally the most average white guy in the world, which is poetic. It's poetic because that's what the left hates. The left doesn't actually care that this young man was racist. To them, every white person is racist. So why would this be of any surprise to them? Huh? Why would this be of any surprise? He wouldn't have had to do the ooh, 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 ooh to be a racist. No. He already was. He was in the South. He was racist. I'm sorry. He was in the South. He was white. I'm assuming he's straight. He already is an evil, straight, white male. In a fraternity, nonetheless, either. Like, no, he has already committed all the cardinal sins. The same people, the way that I really know about this is if you look at my tweet here, and you guys should all go follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. I posted the same people that are mad about JP Staples said nothing when people called for the death of police officers, America, Jews, the unborn, white people, Christians, nothing. They never called for the death of anybody else. I'm sorry. They never got mad. They never had a problem. But as soon as this young straight white frat boy comes out and is like mildly kind of disrespectful to somebody who is siding with terrorists, that's when it's an issue. That's when it's a problem. This isn't about some perceived racism. It's because he disagrees with them. If he had done the same thing towards, and the roles were perfectly reversed, where it was a young white guy on the pro-terrorism side doing the same thing to the other side, no one would know who this guy is at all. At all. This is the equivalent of Nick Sandmann. I don't know if you guys remember who Nick Sandmann is, but I will pull up a picture for you. He is the young man who, at a pro-life rally back in 2019, just smiled in front of a Native American. And all of a sudden, he was a racist. He was ardently terrible. And then it came out that he was not the provocateur. Literally none of this would have, he was just standing there. There was nothing that he could have done. He was just standing there and became an evil individual. And then he got doxxed. He got dragged through the mud. CNN, MSNBC called him a racist. All because he was living while straight, white, and conservative, and a man. All the evil things. All the things I also am. And I don't want to sit here and act like, oh, all straight young white men are victims and they should be treated as such, and we need to coddle them and give them their own spaces that are safe on college campuses. No. Only an idiot would do something like that. But I will say is that there is a threat to those that are straight white men. And they should stand up. Not to be a victim, but they should stand up and say this is BS. And that's exactly what those young college students did. And I'm very happy about it. I am. I think that they did great work. And JP Staples, not Sears. JP Staples deserves to be commended. Not because of his light disrespect. I wouldn't have said he deserved to be commended prior to him being doxxed. But having to go through the doxing when he wasn't really 100% in the wrong is stupid. And he should be commended for having to go through that. And for at least being on the right side. Because there was a right and a wrong. And that's obvious. But let's get to some of these comments here. We got Andrea. I heard you were saying some funny things. LOL, you're fierce, Andrea. Let's see. Deans and teachers need to be stripped of pensions, and tenure deans should be arrested for 80. Absolutely. I have no respect for the professors and deans of this school. Common sense. I would have had all students and teachers on visas deported immediately. 100% agree. Absolutely. I could straighten out this country in about 8 months. It would be 8 months of FA. Andrea, how can you straighten the country out? You are a self-proclaimed anarchist. And if you're an anarchist, that means you don't want any government, which means you yourself could not be participating in said government. Just saying. I did assume his gender. Hey, Jim. Jim, great to see you. Appreciate you being here. As a Native American, when people smile at me, I also cancel straight white men. Oh, well, that's good to know. Good to know, D. McGraw. I'm telling you, I'd 100% have it. He's worse. BLM setting stores on fire. Yeah. Andrea has a vote apparently for her anarchist government, which will be absolutely fascinating to see exactly how that works out. I'm excited to see that, Andrea. Andrea, I'll when you run as an anarchist, I'll vote for you. And be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. We got still a lot more to cover here. I got Kev's quick hits, and then I'm going to take a political compass test. So if you want to know just how conservative Kev is, stick with me. But I'm going to take a quick moment for our sponsor, or for my sponsor, and then I will be right back. So here's this. Freedom 2.0, everybody. You should go get some Freedom 2.0. Use code BREAKAWAY at checkout for 15% off. Here's this.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some freedom to vote. Now, the Constitution is awesome. That's 1A.
Yep, Freedom 2.0. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I'm going to keep going to some comments here for a moment while I also make sure I get my next article all set up, or my next articles all set up, because we are going to do Kev's quick hits of some quicker stuff. And so I got to make sure I have a lot to cover with Kev's quick hits. And so to make sure that I have all of that ready, it's going to take me a moment. And we're going to go quick. So you guys better be ready. You better be ready. I hope you had your caffeine today, because if you didn't, then you're not going to be able to keep up, because we're going quick with these quick hits today. And we're going to cover, like, just so you guys know, I previewed it at the beginning of this show too. Mark Hamill visited the White House. It's really cringy. Cover that and a lot more. Okay. I am an anarchist, and you have to infiltrate. Understood. I do not believe in government at all. They're illegitimate. Absolutely. Okay. Everybody, I hope you are all strapped in. I hope you are all strapped in, because we are about to get to Kev's quick hits. Oh man, I didn't have it up. I was going to do it. Don't worry, everybody. It'll get cleaner in the future, but these are Kev's quick hits. Kev's quick hits. There we go. Kev's quick hits. There was gonna be more there, but I switched it back. But you guys at least got to see kind of a little bit of that animation. I'm trying my best. I produce my own show. It's not perfect, but Kev's quick hits. Quick hit number one: Trump surrounds himself with potential VP picks at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know if you guys saw this picture, but former President Trump surrounded himself with potential running mates and other allies on Saturday during a Republican National Committee spring retreat at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. This is on the Daily Wire. You can, you have some pictures here of while he was there. And this is the one that everybody is sharing. I'll share this tab instead, where he says a lot of very nice things. And you have a bunch of different potential VP picks that are on stage with him, notably Doug Burgum, Byron Donalds. Is that actually Rod Blagojevich over there? It might be. Let me check, actually. J.D. Vance is also up there. Maybe it's not Rod Blagojevich, but I thought it looked like him. J.D. Vance is up there, right there. Tim Scott. Let's see. Anybody else that I recognize that could be a that's Tim Scott, a VP pick. Not off the top of my head, but a lot of different potentials. Vivek Ramaswamy is also right behind him. So a lot of potentials for VP that are up there. Who do you guys think? Everybody, leave me a comment right now. Ideally, I want two answers. Who do you think the VP should be, and who do you think it will be? I want those two answers right now. Go. But so he had this event where he's got a lot of different VP picks, and it has a lot of people still talking about who the VP should be. Now, there are three currents where I do not think, based on today, that have been floated as VP options, that I do not think they will be. And if you stick with me, I'm going to also reveal who I do, one of the two that I think should be the VP that I want. So there are three that will not be. The first is Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem in the last week has had, because of her book that is coming out, she has created, which is just the craziest thing about all of this, is she has created the worst media firestorm in like the history of media firestorms for herself. What has happened is she had a story in there that first went viral about her shooting a dog. I covered that last week on the show, on multiple shows on my channel last week. I don't think that's that bad. But then she also lied in the book, apparently, about meeting Kim Jong-un, which is now also going viral. And then she also blamed her ghostwriter for all of it. She blamed her ghostwriter and said that was the problem, is her ghostwriter made all the issues and made all the problems. Well, that just looks terrible on you, Kristi. And you might have not only killed your chances of being VP, you also killed your chances in general of just a political future. Now, the next one that I do not think should be the VP, a lot of people were saying that a certain individual, another certain woman should be the VP. And in this case, it is Tulsi Gabbard. Now, Tulsi Gabbard, I will give her a lot of credit. Tulsi has done some very interesting work in coming out of being a Democrat and into kind of this. A lot of conservatives hail her as being some icon now because she left the Democratic Party, but she is still not a conservative. Back in 2020, when she ran for president, she was for a $15 minimum wage nationally, a federal minimum wage. She was open to reparations. She was in support of student loan bailouts. She wanted to end cash bail. She was very open to a lot of the climate crisis propaganda, and she was also in support of an assault weapons ban. Now, I'm not saying you can't change, but going from that to where she is now, she shouldn't be VP. We shouldn't trust her. I would still not trust her as a Republican. Now, the third person that I believe that has screwed their chances of becoming the vice president is Tim Scott, which I know a lot of people liked. I could check the comments. I'm sure somebody in here, or wouldn't be surprised if somebody in here liked the idea of Tim Scott. But take a look and a listen to this clip of Tim Scott, to where he just kind of made it so that the left and people on the, or even left of center, not just the left, like your hardcore progressives, even just people left of center believe that Tim Scott would be a difficult choice. Here's this.
Senator, will you commit to accepting the election results of 2024? Bottom line.
Well, at the end of the day, the 47th president of the United States will be President Donald Trump. And I'm excited to get back to low inflation, low unemployment.
Wait, Senator, yes or no? Yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter who wins?
That is my statement.
But is it just yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you could ask him multiple times.
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
But I don't hear you committing
for President Trump. That's clear.
I don't hear you committing to the election results.
Here's the challenge.
Will you commit to accepting the election results?
This is why so many Americans believe that NBC is an extension of the Democrat Party. At the end of the day, I've said what I've said, and I know that the American people, their voices will be heard, and I believe that President Trump will be our next president. It's that simple.
But senators, you know, the hallmark of our democracy is that both candidates agree to a peaceful transfer of power. So I'm asking you, as a potential VP nominee, will you accept to commit to the election results in this election cycle, no matter who wins? Just simply yes or no.
I expect President Trump to win the next election. Listen, I'm not going to answer your hypothetical question when, in fact,
see, and so it keeps going and going. Here's the difficulty that I have with this. So, one, you're going to have everybody on the left. They actually currently are. If you look at Twitter right now, they're going crazy saying that Tim Scott will not say that he will accept the election results. And they don't really care. It's mainly, once again, it's all about the fact that they disagree with him, and this is something to hate on him for. But the difficulty I have with this is that Tim Scott can't even have a scripted answer ready. Now, this is a question before you go on to any interview, knowing that you're a potential VP pick, you should expect the question, will you accept the results of the election? It's literally being asked of just about every Republican because the left has framed Republicans as election deniers. Now, they'd never ask this of a Democrat, which is, of course, hypocritical because they still haven't accepted the results of 2016. But I digress. This is something he should have had an answer for. And the fact that he seemed to stumble, what he should have said, because of the way, based on his answers, and this is just my personal consulting, I guess, for a low price of free. What he should have said is, if he was going to go with, I know that Donald Trump is going to be the president, then he should have said, yes, I will absolutely accept the results of Donald Trump's win in 2024. That would have been a mic drop moment. And it would have answered her question. She couldn't come back and be like, say it. You got to say it. You got to say it. She couldn't do that. And you would have also dunked on her. But instead, he stumbled and fell. And the fact of the matter is Donald Trump needs a stellar pick for VP. And so those are the three that I do not believe it will be. I don't believe it'll be Tim Scott. I don't believe it'll be Tulsi Gabbard. And I don't believe it'll be Kristi Noem. However, of many others on the short list, I do think that J.D. Vance has a good opportunity to do this. J.D. Vance, if you guys do not know, is a Yale graduate of their law school, and then went to The Ohio State when he was for undergrad. And when I say he went to Yale back in like 97, I think it was. Or no. Yale was not 97. Yale was like 2013, like 10 years ago. He's relatively young. He's a straight man, straight white guy, married to an Indian. However, his growing up was fascinating. JD Vance comes from, if you guys never watched Hillbilly Elegy on Netflix, he's a best-selling author of the book Hillbilly Elegy, and then it also turned into a Netflix movie. Phenomenal movie where it tells the story about how his dad was not present growing up. His mother was a drug addict, and he grew up in Appalachia in Ohio. I believe it was Ohio, or maybe Kentucky. It was Kentucky. My mistake. He lives in Ohio now because he's a senator from Ohio, from Kentucky. And he grew up with just a fascinating upbringing that can relate to a lot of Americans. And he connects with a lot of Americans on a level that Trump does not. Very similarly to the same reason why Mike Pence was chosen. I know a lot of people don't like Mike Pence for today, but think back to 2015, 2016 Trump. The reason why he chose Mike Pence is he was a likable former governor of Indiana. And it was Midwest. He connected with the Midwest, with your common folk of the Midwest. Trump doesn't do that. Trump's a city boy, big city boy. And he's not going to be winning over Chicago. He needs to win over the Midwestern folk. And I think J.D. Vance could do that. So I really like J.D. Vance for a potential VP pick. And I know that these are quick hits and I took like 10 minutes for that story, but don't worry. We're going to get on to the next quick hit. But that's the VP pick. We're going to get to those comments soon of who you guys think should be the VP pick. I'm seeing Tim Scott was mentioned. Gabbard supported Sanders, so that's a no. Let's see who else you guys had set up here. Some more Tim Scott stuff. Some people liking Tim Scott. Vivek is true strong, maybe, but I'm not thinking. I would have asked her if Democrats agree with. Yeah, true. He would be a good pick. Byron Donalds is a good option, but JD Vance would be great. He's honestly right now. JD Vance or Ben Carson are my two top picks, but Ben Carson, was not at that dinner. Next quick hit though is I talk a lot about on this show, and I'm going to be talking more about celebrities who share political opinions, and it really pisses me off. Well, here's Dick Van Dyke, the 98-year-old who doesn't really share a political opinion, but just shares something that he thinks about politics. And I just think this is worth watching. Once again, this man is 98 years old. Dick Van Dyke, Mary Poppins star, among other things. Here's this.
You may remember me. I used to fall down a lot on purpose. I don't speak up a lot, but there's something on my mind that I wanted to talk about. You know, our Supreme Court has delayed any decision about a president's immunity, and at the same time they have stalled everything, so that Donald Trump's path back to the White House is pretty clear now. And when that happened, both of the cable network stations printed headlines, corrupt. Our Supreme Court is corrupt. And then nothing, silence. Not another word has been spoken about it by anybody. They dropped the subject as if they'd been squelched. At the same time, for some reason, our college students, out of the blue, became very concerned about what's happening in the Middle East. I'm beginning to feel a little manipulated somehow. Think about it, will you? Thanks.
I'm beginning to feel a little manipulated somehow. Me too. And the reason I share this is because Dick Van Dyke did not share a single thing in this about his political opinion. He didn't share about how he's MAGA, and all the lefties are crap, like a Kid Rock would. Or he didn't come out and say, Biden is the best president ever. I love him so much, like Cardi B or Mark Hamill would. No. He came out and said, isn't it weird how our media was saying that one of our three branches of government was corrupt 3 weeks ago? And then today, which this actually came out just a little less than a week ago, our college campuses are being overrun by people talking about the Middle East. And that's what the media is focused on. Isn't it kind of weird how they just kind of forget? And everybody seems to forget and not be talking about how our media believes that it's corrupt. And then he rightfully points out that we are all being manipulated. And the reason why this is so important is not only because of the face value understanding that we're being manipulated. A lot of us watching right here believe we're being manipulated. But the reason why this is so important is because this is a 98-year-old man. Our president currently is 81. 17-year difference. And those 17 years are major. Like 81 to 98 is a huge difference. It's not the same as somebody like 17 to 34 would be. Like 81 to 98 is like a lot of people die in that period. It's crazy to make it to 98 years old. And Dick Van Dyke has a radically better mental acuity. Compare it to to Joe Biden. And I'm going to pull this up, the tweet, because I want to make sure because he can form coherent sentences. He can use logical reasoning and convey complex thought after already using his memory as well as at 98. And our president, who's 81, craps his pants. Literally. Craps his pants on the national stage. Just saying. That's that quick hit. Up next, we got another one out of Libs of TikTok, a man in a woman's restroom, which sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but oh, don't worry, it becomes hilarious. So next, quick hit right here, man in a woman's restroom, and there's even another follow-up video too, so stay tuned. But here's a man in a woman's restroom.
What are you doing?
Going to the bathroom.
Why are you in the girls' bathroom?
I'm a trans girl.
But you're not a girl.
Oh, we're doing one of these.
Oh, we're doing one of these. I love that. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Interesting. Never had this before. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, I pay a lot of money to be safe in the bathroom.
Me too. Excuse me. Weird.
Do you think that's okay?
So that's the whole thing. Really seems kind of unimportant. Like, kind of. I mean, like, there was no fight. There was no, like, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would go viral. It did because Libs of TikTok posted it, but not as viral as some other videos I've seen. Just a man in a woman's restroom. It's uncomfortable. And it's just it seems like another notch in the belt of things that we need to fix in this destroyed country that we're currently living through. But then the funniest thing is then this was then posted about that video. Take a look and listen to this clip. We're going to react to this one.
Share something with you that happened in our community yesterday that is now going viral on X, specifically the Libs of TikTok account.
A cisgender woman stalked and filmed a friend of ours in the bathroom. The cis woman in question has made quite a name for herself spewing hateful and ugly rhetoric against trans women, including making appearances with Megyn Kelly on Fox News.
So notice that they say, because one, they're obviously reading off a script, and I don't know who the heck. This dude looks really creepy, and I don't like it. And this one has the cow ring in the nose, so that's weird too. And the glasses are just god-awful and gaudy. But notice how they say Megyn Kelly and Fox News, because that seems to be like the only people. Megyn Kelly, Fox News, and Libs of TikTok are the only people that they know related to the conservative ideology of any kind. So I think it's hilarious. Keep watching.
Her name is Peyton McNabb. Her sorority is Delta Zeta. She was made famous after an unfortunate volleyball accident, which a spike ball hit her in the face. The ball was spiked by a trans woman. She was then puppeted and parroted by the right-wing media and was made the one poster child of why trans women should not play sports. She has been spreading hate and misinformation since.
The fame provided by the likes of Megyn Kelly and Fox News have emboldened her beyond hate speech on the internet to purposefully stalking and recording a trans woman in the bathroom.
It's not really stalking when you walk in there and it's like obviously a man is in there and you're like, hey, yo, you're a man. This is a woman's bathroom and I kind of feel uncomfortable with this. It's not really stalking, but okay. And you're also like, you're recording them when you're recording him when he's like in the, like washing his hands, not like when he's like taking a dump or anything like that. I'm just saying.
A misdemeanor, by the way. We want to make it abundantly clear Peyton McNabb was the perpetrator and is now crying on the internet that she is being investigated by her school where the video was reported. Also, my school, and I hope to see them take correct action and expel her.
Wait, expel her? There's a biological man in the women's restroom. I'm sorry. That's like if we're gonna expel somebody for recording in the restroom, you should record a man for being in the women's restroom.
Our friend reacted with such amazing grace, more than I would have given. When asked when she was doing there, she explained she was using the bathroom as a trans girl.
As a biological man.
And when she was pushed further, she stated sorry for Peyton's discomfort, and she just wanted to be safe too.
You would have been perfectly safe in the men's bathroom. Well, probably safe in the men's bathroom. Maybe you should just be a normal flipping person and not an entertained delusion.
Peyton then sent the video to Libs of TikTok, who posted it at 8:28 p.m. yesterday. It now has over 9.2 million views as of the making of this video and continues to grow.
As a person using the bathroom is not the perpetrator. Trans women are not the perpetrators. Peyton McNabb is the perpetrator.
Peyton McNabb is the perpetrator. No. When you're a biological man and you're using the women's restroom and you know the societal implications of your current actions, you're looking for this kind of attention. That's what I believe. I believe that person, the biological man, was looking for that kind of attention. But that's that. Quick hit up next. Yesterday was May the 4th, which for some reason is a bigger holiday than Easter to like all of government. Like if you looked, every flipping politician, especially the White House, was like, May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. Oh my God, I'm so big into Star Wars. And like, I like Star Wars. Like I'm a guy. Like I think it's a fun movie, like series, and Disney screwed it up and like all that stuff. Like I believe all that stuff. But like they were parading around Mark Hamill and celebrating May the 4th more than they celebrated any other holiday. Also, happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. But just saying. But no, they were celebrating May the 4th like it was like the biggest holiday in the history of the world. And so they even the other day like shuffled out Mark Hamill, who looks like he could have literally been a crack addict that they found at a funeral because he's got all black on. And just like shuffled him up here. And this is just an absolutely fascinating thing that happened. And you got Corinne Jean-Pierre, the famous French black lesbian, to introduce him. Here's this.
There's no introduction that really is needed here. I have a special guest, as you can see. Mark Hamill has decided to join us on this wonderful Friday, and I am really excited to turn it over to Mr. Hamill. Here we go.
Okay, how many of you had Mark Hamill will lead the press briefing on your bingo card? Hands? Yeah, me either. And look, I just got to meet the president. He gave me these aviator glasses. Oh, yeah. I love the merch. Love it all. But listen, I just wanted to say I was honored to be asked to come to the White House to meet the president, the most legislatively successful president in my lifetime. And, you know, I don't have to go through the list, the bipartisan infrastructure law, the PACT Act, the CHIPS Act, all of that, inflation, 15 million jobs. Look, it's all good. I mean,
So apparently Mark Hamill is going to be starting an OnlyFans where all it is just he's sucking off Joe Biden in front of a camera for 3 minutes straight, because that's basically what's happening right here. He's like, oh my God, look, it's the most legislatively successful president in my. Okay, well, why don't we talk about like 20% in or like major inflation constantly? Let's talk about all that. Let's talk about cost of living nowadays being radically higher than it was 5 years ago. We could talk about how more unborn babies are slaughtered and enabled to be slaughtered under Joe Biden's presidency than ever. We have children who are being enabled to have their genitals mutilated. We could talk about how more illegal border crossings than like any president ever. We could talk about the enabling of foreign wars to continually persist rather than entertaining any type of peace talk. But okay, stay on your knees. I bet they're bruised, Mark Hamill.
I was really thrilled to meet the entire staff because, you know, it's not just one person. It's like a composite endeavor. And all these people, my goodness, I mean, I have no idea. I had no idea just what went into what is on his plate on a daily basis. So that's pretty much it. I'm open to questions, although no Star Wars questions, please.
Not funny.
But I want to say once again how grateful I am. And it just shows you that one person can be so influential and so positive in our lives. And again, thank you so much. And Peter Baker, I loved your book. Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Mark Hamill, for being here. What
Yeah.
did you ask? What did you talk about with the president?
Well, first of all, I only expected to be there for like 5 minutes. He showed us all these photographs, and it was really amazing to me because I was invited to the Carter White House, and I came, and then I came to the Obama White House, but I never was invited into the Oval Office, and it was a large gathering. So this one was really extra special.
All right, sir.
So yes,
If I can bring up Star Wars too, sir.
well, I called him Mr. President. He said, "You can call me Joe," and I said, "Can I call you Joe-B-Wan Kenobi?"
Oh, that's so gross. That's like the cringiest thing. Joe-B-Wan Kenobi. That's so stupid. Like literally, get.
He liked that. But listen, I'm not really here to dominate. I have to turn it back over to our wonderful press secretary, Corinne Jean-Pierre. So thank you all so much. Thank you. All right, thank you.
I love how he's doing so many great things. He's doing so many great things. What did you talk to him about? I asked him if I could call him Joe-B-Wan Kenobi. So flipping cringy. Absolutely disgusting. Hated it, but that's that. Quick hit up next. Probably one of my favorite quick hits I will ever do. So we talked earlier about some of the protesters. Well, ASU, Arizona State University senior, starts crying after she finds out that she won't be able to graduate after she got arrested for her campus protest. Brianna Brocker says that she won't be graduating because her suspension means she will miss her finals. Listen to what she has to say. I'm sorry. It's hard for me not to laugh at this.
I mean, I'm a little disappointed. I'm being restricted from a lot of things right now that I didn't expect to be for standing up for something that I believe in. I have family coming in who I have to let them know to not come to my graduation ceremonies. I am glad that there is a guarantee that my courses will be taken care of, so I don't have to worry necessarily about my graduation requirements and the fact that I will earn my degree as I have spent the past 4 years doing. But I'm just disappointed. I mean, I'm a 2020 high school grad, so I wasn't able to walk then.
Yeah, but the difference is that in 2020, it was your politician's fault, and then now it's your fault. Like, sweetie, gotta kind of understand you got arrested. And you didn't get arrested for like just protesting. You got arrested for obviously doing something that was worth arresting you for. So this is your fault.
And so, here it is. I'm not able to walk now.
Knowing, what you know now, like you said, you were standing up for a cause. Would you do it again?
I mean, yeah, I would.
You idiot. You're like over here, like literally crying. Like, I'm not going to be able to graduate. I didn't get to graduate in 2020. Blah, blah, blah. Me. I'd do it again.
I was doing what I believed was right, and I still believe it to be right. I would stand up for the cause again, even if it means something negative to me, because like the cause is so much harm has been done to all of those people already. I am safe. I am fine. I might not graduate, and that might harm future job prospects and stuff like that, but I'm not I'm not like in physical danger. I'm not constantly worried about being hurt or being forced from my home or anything like that. I would absolutely stand up again and protest again.
Honestly, she's a victim of a drastic amount of brainwashing. And that's exactly what it is. Like, she's been brainwashed so much to believe not only that the cause is noble, but also to sacrifice the things that she's worked for something that is not really that noble. Not to mention the fact that if she really cared that much, she would put herself in that physical danger. If she cared so much to sacrifice, because here's the thing, is she's caring so much to sacrifice her life in the fact that she's sacrificing the things that she's worked for. So why doesn't she actually go over there and try to fight or like live under that culture and see how it treats her? That's really what I would say. But those are all of Kev's quick hits for today. Those are all my quick hits. And now the moment you guys might have been waiting for, potentially after I get to some of these comments here. Mark was so cringe. Absolutely. I saw that. I thought the Transformers comment about Bumblebee, hilarious, amazing comment. Probably one of the top comments, but I also really liked with that her poor future cats. That was for this young lady, her poor future cats. Killer, amazing comment, Jim. I love it. It's time to blacklist these people, kind of, but like, look at her. She's kind of done it to herself already. She's not in danger of starving. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Okay, everybody. Now we're going to get into what I've been kind of excited for, and I hope you guys have been too. My political compass test. I take one of these like probably about every 6 months. People usually ask me to take these. They're curious about how conservative are you really, Kevin? How conservative are you? And we'll see, and I'll take it in front of you guys. It'll be documented for all of you to see just how conservative is Kev. How conservative am I? So I'm going to make sure I really kind of make this pretty full screen. It'll mean I don't necessarily see all your comments. But just so you know, I will be able to see some of them. So keep commenting, keep those coming. Let me know what you guys think. And if you want to follow along, you can go find this political compass test online at politicalcompass.org/test. So let's get to this right here. The political compass test. And I'm going to go through this and I'm going to tell you, because I also believe this test is flawed. And so we're going to take this together. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational companies. Humanity. What does that even mean? What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's stupid. I mean, like, I'd rather it be for humans than transnational corporations, I guess, kind of. I'd always support my country, whether it is right or wrong. Well, we are America. I support my country in the fact, like, what the heck does that mean? Like, am I supporting Joe Biden, like what he does? Like, or am I supporting like what my country stands for? I got to put just like a regular agree again, because it's like, no one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Strongly disagree. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Strongly disagree. It's not based on race. It's based on culture. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Disagree, not necessarily. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Strongly agree. Yeah, I don't really care about international law. I care about getting what I want. There is not now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly agree. CNN. People are ultimately divided more. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. Disagree. I think that's what kind of, but I think that in our nation, it's a lot more based on race. Like, you'd get a lot more mad at somebody for being racist than you would for being rich. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Yes, because because the cost of things should be lower, and then you can have less people employed. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect. Can you guys still see me? I'm frozen. Yay. I hope you guys can still hear me. I will be right back. I'm still here. Don't worry. I will be back. I promise. I'm sorry that I'm not there right now. I will be back. This is not fun for me either. I'm trying to fix it. I am back. I'm sorry that happened. I'm still here. Thank you guys for sticking with me, I hope. But let's get back to this test. I'm going to have to go real quick. I'm so sorry that happened, but I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope you can, and you guys are taking a look and can see everything that I'm doing. I have to go back to the very beginning of this test, but do not worry. I'm going to go through it quick and do all of my things. So that I can get back to where I was. Thank God I wasn't too far into it. Thank God you guys are still here. I'm sorry that happens. This is what happens when I produce my own show. And so if you want to support the show so I can get better equipment and avoid those kinds of freeze ups, consider maybe supporting through Super Chat, through subscription, or my Venmo or Cash App, which is right down there, which you guys could graciously, any amount goes towards this show and investing further in it. So please consider doing all that. Strongly disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Disagree. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Strongly agree. There's warring fusion. Strongly agree. Okay. Now we're back to this page, which people are, I said, divided more by class than nationality. Disagree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I agree with that. Corporations cannot be trusted voluntarily to protect the environment. They require regulation. False. Well, kind of. I mean, like, they require a little bit of regulation, right? Like, we can't just be like, oh yeah, dump nuclear crap into all of our ponds and make it so that all of our air is unbreathable and everything like that. Like, that's not, we can't do that. That's not how it works. Also, this ad is in the way of one of mine. I don't know if you guys can see that. I think you can. But like, I can't even see. Oh, there. Okay. It's gone now. Okay. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need is fundamentally a good idea. From each according to that's strongly disagree. That's actually a quote from Marx, from Karl Marx. The freer the market, the freer the people. Strongly agree. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded, in a consumer product. Strongly disagree. You can still get public water from drinking fountains and stuff, or you could filter your own water. Like, there's so many other options. It doesn't have to just be water like that. But now we can keep on commenting too, guys. Let me know what you guys think about any of these as well. And I'll get to your comments at some point. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Strongly disagree. Why not? Private property. Is it regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society? Absolutely. Somewhat agree. If you're genuinely contributing nothing, that's the difficulty of this one, is contribute nothing to their society. But I don't know if it's really many. Like, this has so many assumptions into it. Many personal fortunes that are made by people who simply, but I don't think that there actually are many that contribute nothing. It would be regrettable if they are truly contributing nothing to society. But I guarantee you, even people that have personal fortunes that are made by manipulating money, they're in some way contributing to society. They're donating to a church. They're doing things. They're in some way supporting society. But so I'll put agree, because I agree that if it were happening and they were contributing nothing, then it would be regrettable. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Absolutely. Protectionism being protecting yourself, being like nationalistic. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver profit to its shareholders. I think there's some social responsibility. I mean, like, I don't think you should, like, in an extreme case, if your company is in some way like responsible for the murder of children, or like your company also shouldn't be promoting abortion. Your company shouldn't be promoting anything. There's a lot more social responsibility. I think there's more social responsibility than just delivering profit. So I'll say disagree. The rich are too highly taxed. Strongly agree. Everybody's too highly taxed. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of healthcare. Yeah, sure, of course. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Yes, if you're committing fraud, you should be penalized. Like, that's like a basic thing. If you lying for your business should be illegal. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of a predator. Yeah, absolutely. A free market, because if there are monopolies, if people are taking up entire industries, then you can't penetrate that market, meaning that market is not free. Okay. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly agree. Yes. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree. Yeah, to some extent. I mean, like, if you ask enough questions and it's fine, then it's fine. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I disagree. Leaves the whole world blind. I actually strongly disagree with that one. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I'm going to say strongly agree. If you don't have enough people coming to your museum, like, then if there is anything that is of importance in that museum, give it to one that actually is a good museum. But we shouldn't be propping up some like museum that nobody's going to, because then it's something that people don't actually need to care about. I mean, we can still preserve artifacts that people don't care about if it's genuinely seen to have some level of interest. But now I want to get into this question, but I can't because there's this stupid ad, and I guess I should have an ad blocker on or something. But I don't seem to have one on currently. So I got to make sure I can read it at some point. Don't worry. We're going to just put, I really hope I'm not agreeing. We'll go down to this one and see if it changes. All the people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should be kept to their own kind. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Given the way that schools currently are, I'd agree. Kind of. If our schools were good, I would disagree. I don't know, though. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. I don't totally know about that one. Better for different sorts of people to keep to their own kind. Like, who are we talking about here? Like, if you are a pedophile and there's nothing that's going to change you, I mean, you should just probably die, but like, I would want you to not be around me. I guess in a certain extreme, certain people, like, no. We shouldn't, like, I don't mean this for people of an entire race or anything like that, but like, yeah, there are certain people, different sorts of people that should keep to their own kind. I'll lightly agree with that. Like, people that are degenerates should keep to their own kind. I don't want them around me. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Ooh, this one's a hard one. I'm going to lightly agree to this. It needs to be in like very, very controlled circumstances in which it is clear that the child knows why they are receiving their punishment. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Yes, I do agree with that. it is natural for some children to keep secrets from their parents. I don't think it's necessarily always good, but it can be. Possessing marijuana, like there are some things parents don't always need to know. There are a lot of things parents do need to know that are happening. But there's some secrets, sure. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. It should be a states' rights issue, I think. Kind of. I don't know. Part of me thinks that it should be federally illegal, but only a ticketable offense, like a misdemeanor, not like jail time for having a little bit of weed on you. I'm gonna lightly disagree with that one. It should be a criminal offense in some instances. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Absolutely. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Like what? I don't even know how to answer this one. So I'm going to go like serious inheritable disabilities. I'm going to say disagree. I think that there's a lot of questions I have about that one though. So like take that answer with a grain of salt. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. That is not the most important thing for children to learn. There is no savage and civilized. What would be the most important thing for children to learn? Let me know in the comments. What is the most important thing for children to learn? Because I don't think it's to accept discipline. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's that. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. Strongly disagree. If your culture participates in human sacrifice, you're savage and you're less than. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Strongly agree. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Better not to think about, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Disagree. Strongly disagree. You should, if you're troubled, depending on what it is, you should try to figure out why and solve it. First generation immigrants can never fully be integrated within their new country. I don't agree with that. I think there's some things, some barriers, but it depends on the country that you're immigrating from too. Like even if you like, because you could have an accent, but like no. I think some could be. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Strongly disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I strongly agree with that one. NPR is a perfect example. Especially now with social media too, because like every politician has their own broadcast. Like they don't need to have any other broadcast. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Yeah, read the Patriot Act. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in democratic political system. Okay, this is just like a fact. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids the arguments that delay progress. Yes, because that is a fact. Like, if you have a one-party state, not a uniparty like we have right now, like where it's like two pretend parties. No. Like if you have a fascist dictatorship and that's the only party that's legally allowed, it is going to make it so that you don't have as many arguments because anybody who disagrees is killed. So that would be an advantage. That's just factual. Doesn't mean that I believe in a one-party state, but I do believe that to be a fact. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. No, because we've obviously seen people like Trump get surveilled and then like they didn't even do anything illegal, but they try to twist things into being illegal. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I disagree. I have previous videos that talk about this. I'll have more videos that talk about this. I do not believe in the death penalty. I have a stupid ad here trying to block me again. Abstract art that does not represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Strongly agree. I actually feel really strongly about that one. Is not everything is art, and a lot of stupid liberals try to make it seem like everything is art. Shut up. Not everything is art. Your banana taped to a painting is not art. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Not must, but that's the way that it will always work out because some people are leaders, some people are followers. So I'm going to lightly agree with that one. Doesn't need to happen, but like it's the way it does. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I disagree. I think if rehabilitation seems like an option, we should do that. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Strongly agree. There are some that seem beyond. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Kind of. It depends. By today's standard of art, where some things that people consider art are not art, I'd agree with that. But if it's somebody who is generally or like making good art, like that is reflective of society at the time period, then there's a lot of things that I think are really good. I see this comment. This is not the best test to test your conservativeness. That's not really, it's supposed to be just like a political compass test. This is the one that's like most widely used by people. I've had multiple classes throughout. I have a political science degree. I've had multiple classes where they ask you to take this test. This is pretty common among people my generation. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I think out of both genders, mothers are better suited to become homemakers. So I'm going to lightly agree with that. But like, it's not necessarily, it is part of their first duty. It depends on the marriage and it depends on this relationship. It depends on a lot of different factors. But for the most part, yeah, I'm going to lightly agree with that. Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental to our efforts to clear. But we should heed the warnings, so we should agree with them. Strongly disagree. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Making peace with it, strongly disagree. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. If you believe in astrology, I immediately consider you to be less than that of a kindergartner in terms of mental acuity. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly agree. Yeah, I don't believe, I mean, like you could live a moral life, but you have no sense of your morality. You have no reasoning for it without Christianity, honestly, or Judeo-Christianity. Charity is better than the Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Strongly agree. Strongly agree. People who give in charity tend to give more than taxes take. Some people are naturally unlucky. Or than taxes would take. Some people are naturally unlucky. Naturally unlucky. I believe God challenges some people more, but it's not natural lack of luck. I'm going to disagree. And now I got to figure out what the heck this last one is before I finish, because I really want to know. And I have this stupid flipping ad here, but I see you guys are commenting things. Let's see what some of the comments are while I wait for this to change. According to Biden, the rich is not taxed enough. I don't believe that to be true. That's a question about segregation. I think that was that one that I was kind of having a problem with. To be the best you can be, don't do anything you don't want done to you. Absolutely. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Strongly agree. 100% agree with that. 6 of 6. Finally, a look at sex. Oh, wonderful way to end out this show. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I'm going to disagree with this one. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. It depends. I'm like in the middle on this one. If you're with the person that you believe you're going to marry, I don't necessarily believe it's immoral. But I believe if you're hooking up with everybody, then it is. Like if it's the person that you know you're going to marry, this is a difficult one. Then I don't necessarily believe it to be immoral. But if you're hooking up with a lot of people, with everybody, honestly, if you're just hooking up in general, then it absolutely is. Monogamy is where you lack the immorality. If you're monogamous, 100% monogamous, then it's not immoral, in my opinion. That's the way I see it. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. So I believe that they should only be allowed to adopt a child if there are no heterosexual couples that are currently looking, because it is shown that a stable heterosexual couple is better for a child than a homosexual couple. So a same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. They should not be excluded, but They should not be excluded, but they should be put at the bottom of the list. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Ooh, I had that conversation earlier. I've been back and forth on the legality of it. I think it has a net negative for society overall. Should be legal for the adult population. I think there should be a drastic amount of restriction on it. But I guess I should put agree because I do think that it should be in some way legal. I don't think it's good. I think it's bad. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. I'd agree with that one. It still can be wrong, but it's no business of the state. No one can feel naturally homosexual. No, I believe they can feel naturally homosexual. God challenges everybody in different ways. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Openness, absolutely, strongly agree. Now let's see where I stand. How conservative am I? Let's see here. There's a lot of different things about it. I'm really not that conservative, everybody. Look at this. I'm like over 3 and down 1. So now all those people that say I'm a right-wing nut job, they're liars. That's where I am, right there. They're liars. I think it's because I had too many that were like, agree, or lightly agree, kind of agree, disagree. That's according to this test, though. Who really knows? What do you guys think, though? Let's see what some of these things say. Religion doesn't make anyone moral. Following God's commands and precepts makes a person moral. You can go to church on Sunday after fornicating Saturday night. Yeah, you can. Absolutely. What I mean, though, is that religion is the guide for the majority, for pretty much all of morality. There's no reason why else. There's no reason for morality and for the rules that guide morality without religion. If you consistently go back to it, the reasoning why we believe things to be wrong are because of things that are laid out in the Bible. Like, what else is stopping you? Because why does man have an inherent value? Why does man have an inherent value if not for being God's creation? And what that leads you towards is things like murder or respecting somebody else's space, their property, their time, their anything about them. It's because we're children of God. That's why. I have a girlfriend. I think it's okay. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are. But I do appreciate. I'm getting way over my usual time, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. I got to get out of here though. But that's about how conservative I am. I do have other live streams throughout the week. If you guys want to be involved in any of those, I would appreciate if you tuned in. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. And if you want me to react to anything, talk about anything, email me speechlesskp@gmail.com. I'd really appreciate it. Anybody can email me. I have some things that I need to react to that are in my email inbox. I will get to those ASAP. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you guys. As always, God bless America. I'm praying for you. And until next time, you've been watching Speechless.